adversity, bring it. The struggle, we welcome it. Snooze on life, never that. We are Dave Regina and Mike Pirelli, and this is the No Snooze Podcast. Come on.
And we're back.
Yes, we are.
We're
back.
Epi 4.
Epi 4.
I can't believe we made it.
We did it.
We're officially out of the Fire Festival phase.
Yes, we fire fested that thing for a long time.
Yes. People are like, when is it coming out?
We started out with 6-second clips because we could only get 6 seconds of good recording in.
Yeah.
And then people were like, all right, you got to stop snoozing on the content. Then we went a little bit longer to like 30 seconds. Now we're at like a minute clips.
Yeah.
Right? And people are finally like, oh, they put out a couple epis.
I met someone and we were talking back and forth and I mentioned the podcast and they're like, yeah, I listen. It's great. And I was like, oh, you've listened to a non-existing podcast? Yeah.
Oh, my God. This guy actually
that, right?
jumped in the DM, too. He was from California trying to promote something of his own.
Yeah.
And he must have seen some of the clips. And he was like, dude, I just listened to a bunch of episodes of your podcast.
Yeah.
I'm like, thanks, bud. But we only have one episode that's actually out.
Yeah. Unless people are Googling it and finding the wrong thing because they don't know what we sound like.
That's true.
Right? I guess from a short clip, you can't really figure it out.
Yeah, I guess. Let's bring clarity to the term epi.
Okay.
All right, because we were debating the spelling of epi. I thought we were originally going to go EPI just because episode cuts it to epi.
And you're efficient, so
I'm efficient,
like
effective,
letters.
And consistent.
Yeah.
So what are we doing? What are we going with?
Well, I was trying to think because I don't know if this is correct, but I've been using the term pushies for a long time.
Yeah, pushies, pulleys on the pull-ups.
But did I get that from you?
I don't know. I think we've just been bouncing back and forth. But we could go epi. I like epi, EPPY.
Yeah, I like Y's.
Okay.
I mean, so we have a dog named Petey, a.k.a. Pizza.
Okay.
And I've been spelling it Petey forever, which is definitely wrong. I think Petey's Petie. Spelling, not our strong suit.
Yeah.
No snooze on learning how to spell.
All right, so we'll go epi. So this is epi 4.
Okay.
We're talking authenticity and vulnerability this episode. But before we get there, we do have a couple updates on these pushies. Can we update everybody on the push-ups?
So before you get into the numbers,
I got to look at the numbers.
This is what I think of when I look at that chart. It's like a horror movie, and I'm the guy stumbling, trying to run away from you, and it's evident. It's just imminent that you're catching me, and I'm just trying to prolong the death. So
you're finally admitting it, Michael.
I don't know if I'm admitting it, but I've used enough Icy Hot to kill someone, and all my clothes reek of Icy Hot. In the gym, no one's around me because I smell so bad.
I got a couple twinges on the left side.
Part of me wants to Tanya Harden you. Do you know who Tanya Harden is?
No.
And just get someone to hit you with a pipe.
I don't know who that is. Tom Hardy?
Tanya Harding.
Tanya Harding?
You're not a movie guy?
I'm not a movie guy.
That's like a USA guy. Like
I don't know. An Olympian?
She was in the someone. She hired someone to hit someone in the knee with a pipe, so she would win. So
never seen that clip.
So watch your back. I'm gonna send someone to come
somebody
beat
get
you
me.
up.
So for those of you guys
imagine?
who are just tuning in, Mike and I. Well, Mike was on this push-up app. It's called PushFit.
Still there.
And yeah, he was using it, but he was talking like, "Oh, I'm doing all these pushies, blah blah blah." So I made a comment saying, "Mike, I'll jump on the app and I'll catch you." And he was 22,000 away from me.
Well, you kept saying one day I'm just going to embarrass you and hop on the app.
Yes,
and I was like, why do you keep saying one day? What are you afraid? Blah, blah. And then
I jumped on the app, and now Mike is still ahead. He's at 37,737 push-ups, which is number 6 all time. It says global. And Dave Regina is now number 7. Yes, Mike is 6, Dave is 7, with 35,868.
And when did you start the app?
I started on the 22nd of November.
Yeah.
And I've been going strong now.
Does it say how much you average on there?
No, but it's
what would you put it at?
I'm clipping at
1,000?
least 1,000 a day.
Yeah, it's something's wrong with the app. I think.
So that's the update on that. You guys also just started. You joined CV with the Fitbit.
Yeah. So CV was talking about how he walks, and I was like, you know what? I actually walk a ton just for work, so I could probably compete in that area. Part of it was also like I got to be competitive with someone in some other facet because mentally watching a 1,500 day of push-ups and then putting up 500 is not good for the psyche.
Isn't that good?
So I'm trying to stay around the fire. Part of it also is like trying to record more.
Yep.
What is not managed or measured can't be managed is a saying that I think about now. And I was like, I just need to be aware of what I'm averaging. So if I track it up, and my nickname I call myself is the Tortoise.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
the challenge is to
tortie.
just walk and not run because I'm not a big runner. And it's been fun, but we've have like 4 people in it as of this date.
Yep.
But I've
Give
been
the
getting
info
requests.
though. The info on the group, because that's something that everybody can partake in.
Just look for No Snooze Podcast. There's a group, or just friend me, Mike Pirelli.
On what? What is it? The push fit?
We're doing Fitbit.
I mean, I'm sorry.
So the
Fitbit
the Fitbit app is. Thank you for the sponsorship, Fitbit. No, they're not sponsors.
Yeah.
I got like the watch one. It's called the Inspire. It was
Okay.
$60, so it's not terrible. I had an Apple Watch. Wife got it for me.
Cool.
It broke. I got in the shower. And
That's expensive.
it wasn't good, but I had it for 3 years. But anyway,
all right.
So yeah, join us. CV's getting worked. He's coming up with a lot of excuses, so we'll see how that pans out. It's
Wow.
cold. He said it's cold outside. Walk in the mall. We did that.
Yeah,
last
that's
night.
smart. That's
we did
smart.
laps in the mall. I've been taking a lot of stairs. It just
Yep.
makes you conscious of
It's like one of my work habits.
trying to get a couple. I pace a lot, which I didn't realize. Like I pace a ton
We have a friend
on the phone and
Shout out Mo Khan.
Yeah.
He just paces back and forth all day. He'll beat all of you
does
guys.
not sit.
He just
Yeah.
does. Yeah, he
I feel like
would
it's
beat
a
you.
terrible diet too. I don't know. I gotta ask him.
When you're talking about, so when I was touching my shoulder before, exciting news. We're now live on YouTube,
Yes.
right? So now it's like an added motivation because we need to get these bodies right.
Yeah.
We're going to call them pod bods.
Podbots is pretty good.
Pod bods. Let's do it.
Speaking of vulnerability, jumping in with the push-ups, it's all circles.
Yep.
I've been doing so many, and I actually touch my nose to it. I know yours is crooked, so you got to go farther down.
Yeah, I got a crooked nose for
It's gotta
anybody
go
who's
farther down. Mine's big.
watching this.
So I've touched my nose to my app so much that I'm wearing cover-up on my nose right now because I'm breaking out, and it's happening right before we record a TV show tomorrow.
Yes.
Which is
talk about
also
that TV
hilarious.
show. That's pretty cool.
So I was talking to a producer. He shot me an email. He was looking for people that bought back home in certain areas, and he was seeing if I had any good clients. So I know you guys bought back where Karina grew up.
Yeah. So you mean bought back home, as in
like moved
you're
back to
moving
their
back to your
hometown.
hometown
Yeah.
versus, because a couple people asked me, like, oh, that's cool. You moved back in with your parents. Nice.
That's actually great. That's a good concept.
Yeah.
No, it was So it's buying back where you grew up, but
Yeah.
not in your parents'
Not
home.
in-
I
not-
guess you could.
Right.
But so I sent 5 clients, maybe 6, and all good people. But I remember telling you, I was like, I guarantee you guys are going to get it. They also, I thought for myself, it's good promo. So I said, how about you interview us? I bought a home. I am a real estate agent, but I'll represent myself on the show. And the guy's like, I don't know if we could do that. The great guy's got EJ. And then eventually he was like, yeah, we'll do it. So like kind of convinced him to do it. And then we actually got picked. Dave and Karina didn't get picked right away.
We
And
were on the waiting
list. But I talked to EJ, and we were very confident that somehow, whether it was a spin-off show, which who knows what that would have been called, you were going to get picked. So long story short, they got picked now.
Yep.
And we're recording tomorrow just in time for when I'm breaking out.
It's almost
so.
like a feel bad story when I think about it,
Yeah,
because at first we did this whole interview. Everyone was like, "Oh, you guys are great. It's awesome." We Skyped with everybody. It was really good. It's like, "Yeah, we're definitely going to put you on." Then I followed back up with EJ, and he was like, "Yeah, man, I don't know. I don't think we're using the location."
Yeah.
I think that was an excuse. So thank you, EJ,
we'll
for
say
making
that.
it smooth. So I guess somebody dropped out,
Yeah.
or somebody just was not, I guess, up to what they were looking for.
I don't know. We might get cut from the
And
show,
then-
so I figure if
yeah,
I'm on
we
multiple,
might.
and I'm going to be your agent on the show,
Yeah, so you're on 2 episodes.
2 episodes. So I'm like, the more episodes I can jump in on, the better
Wow.
chance of not getting cut.
Super dope.
But that was a good time.
Yeah, man.
So.
All right, let's jump, I guess, right into Epi 4 of authenticity and vulnerability.
Yes.
Right? So I think everybody who's watching this or listening has their belief of what exactly the two mean. It's pretty obvious, but we'll say it anyway. To us, it's basically being authentic is really just being who you are versus being vulnerable. The one word that I can think of is like risk. Now you're taking a risk. You're putting something out there that may not be viewed in the best way.
Yeah.
So you're taking that risk. Oh, that's a good way to look at it right here, right? 2 words. Authenticity would be real. Vulnerability, risk, the R&R.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I think you can be vulnerable without taking a risk.
You
can be
no.
open to.
Well, you being vulnerable basically means that
You're risking
you're
people
risking
being
people
embarrassed.
viewing you in a certain way.
Okay.
Yes,
I like that.
That's what I'm talking
But
about.
they definitely intertwine.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. So, which one do you struggle with the most? Because I know which one I do. So, let's talk you first.
I mean, the vulnerability thing, I think everyone probably struggles with the most. I don't know. I'm speaking, assuming here. But the vulnerable thing, like, I'm just not very emotional about a lot of stuff. Mm-hmm. That's always how I've been. But I think I'm very authentic. So if you're authentic, you're naturally vulnerable.
Yep.
Did I just make a fact?
If you're authentic, you're naturally vulnerable? No.
Yeah, because you're opening up yourself for judgment of something quirky.
I guess in certain situations, yes.
So I think vulnerability is probably the thing because I'm very, after getting married, you become more vulnerable because it's not all about you anymore, which is in stages of life, I'm learning that you get less and less selfish.
Yep.
I was very selfish prior to getting a girlfriend, getting married, getting a dog. Your time starts to not become your own.
Right.
So that's a vulnerability that
sure.
you have to embrace. So I'm working on it, but vulnerability is probably the main one.
Yeah.
What about you?
I would agree. Authentic-wise, I feel like I've been an authentic guy for the most part. I can remember some times that, I definitely wasn't the authentic me, but we got feedback on Epi 1, and I had referenced not getting the raise for my job.
That was in episode 1?
Yeah, that was in
okay.
Epi 1,
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah.
Right, CV? Audio-visual? Clarity? Yes. And there was a bunch of people that either sent me a text, called me, or slid in the DM saying, like, dude, it was really dope that you spoke about that because I feel like a lot of us go through that, and then we don't want to speak about it.
Yeah.
So that's something that just happened in my life, that I guess I was able to be vulnerable with. But I am all about getting better in terms of being vulnerable. And here's a piece. And again, I want to come on this podcast, and I'm going to be careful because there's people that I talk about, and I don't do this to offend anybody. So I'm going to keep certain things out of it, whether I'm talking about my wife, my family, my job. But for the most part, I want to be open and honest with everybody. So I remember struggling my whole life really with the vulnerability piece, never wanting to cry. I'm sure like a lot of guys or alphas can relate to that. You don't want to cry in front of people. You don't want to be embarrassed. You want to always look the best. Social media for me for a long time was me actually being the opposite of vulnerable. You're specifically going out of your way to take certain pictures and, for likes, be in the clubs, put this bottle next to me here. And no knock to anybody who does that, but I was doing that up until 2 years ago. And then I seeked out therapy, right? And it has been the absolute best thing, not only for myself, my marriage, my relationships at work, anything that you apply my life to. And some people are going to knock me for it, and it's been thrown in my face before.
Yeah.
And that's fine. That's fine. If you have my number and you have a problem with me, call me.
Jesus.
If not, you probably don't really matter.
Yeah, that's good.
Right?
Yeah, that's a good way.
So, because it's literally been thrown in my face. You act like you have this perfect life, but meanwhile you're in therapy. Yeah.
See, my number's all over the internet for real estate,
oh,
so
yeah.
I can't say that.
So that's good. That's true.
I'll just get
That's
hate
true.
mail.
That's good. But yeah, so the therapy piece for me was, and my wife and I go, and it's not because we have one specific problem in our marriage.
Yeah.
We do it because we wanted to get back to our core. We feel like for a while there was a separation in terms of the lifestyle and the wants. Mm-hmm. I was very good at like going out and being able to bounce back right away and then go to work, whereas my wife's a teacher.
Some would say the best.
Some would say the best.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed it. I was in my 20s. We got married super young. I got married when I was 24. Mm-hmm. And she just grew out of that earlier than I did.
Yeah.
And people go through that. But to make sure that we didn't have to get into a separation or even talks of that type of stuff, we were like, no, let's try this therapy thing out and let's do it. And it has been the healthiest thing. And we've seen the progression now for 2 years.
Yeah.
And Mike, I'm telling you, I have learned how to be like in touch with my feelings, which is something that like even my brother and I growing up, my sister and I, my dad, my mom, everybody, I never felt comfortable talking about the uncomfortable things. And now, go ahead, judge me.
Yeah.
I'm good with me.
Yeah.
I'm not perfect. I'll put things out there, and some feedback is going to be positive and some is going to be negative, but it's my life. And if you want to come along in the journey, that's cool. But if not, then separate yourself.
Yeah.
You know, and that's how I want to live my life moving forward. I just want to be the best for not only me, but for my family and my circle around me.
Yeah.
Because when I am my best, it is when I'm vulnerable and I'm relatable to people. You know, so that's my little rant on vulnerability.
No, that's good. The thing about being vulnerable, like this form that we're putting out even now is a vulnerability. We're putting our thoughts and certain parts of our life in a recorded format.
Yep.
And putting it out to the public
Right.
and asking people to come listen to it.
Yeah.
So it's you feel very vulnerable even in just everyday life and trying to do something business-wise.
Right.
And I feel like it's something you start to get used to, but it's never just super comfortable.
Right.
Like it's always an uncomfortable thing. You know, my stuff is more, I think the therapy stuff's awesome. I think if you can use that and it's helpful, I'd much rather see, there's less of a stigma now, which is good. But I'd rather see someone trying to fix something than just keep going about it and keep making the mistake.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
For me, the whole vulnerability thing starts with lifestyle. Like, I think knowing in your life what you want to build or accomplish, you're then able to work backwards and have tough conversations to get to whatever that lifestyle is. So like you're saying with the partying and stuff, like at some point you had a tough conversation where she or you were like, I don't want to do this without you.
Right.
I want this type of lifestyle. I want this next step. And by knowing that lifestyle piece, then you're able to work back. So like Dana and I constantly have talks about the long term and like, how many kids do you want? All the tough, vulnerable conversations that come with marriage, you know, and then admitting you're wrong. That's one thing that I'm working on.
All
it's
of us.
hard in an industry where you have to be confident and you have to be sure about what you're doing, and the biggest purchase of your client's life is in your hands. You have to know what the hell's going on. You have to be pretty confident. Whereas in a relationship, you have to turn that off and you have to be vulnerable. So it's a tough balance, but I think just working on it and putting forth the effort is half the battle. You know,
that's amazing stuff in terms of the business and the relationships. But I want to highlight the relationship piece because I feel like a lot of people can relate to this. You know, the people who are listening to this are either seeking a relationship or they're in a relationship or they're married, whatever it is. So why do you think it is that there's usually one person in a relationship that is super vulnerable, and then there's one that is not? Does that have anything to do with like the opposites attract?
I think there's something to do with that. I also think so. We had a conversation recently where Dana's very emotional. I love her to death, but I kind of feel like I have to be strong and not show much because you have to be the rock. And I've always been not very emotional, and like when I'm happy, I don't cry because of happiness. I smile and I get talkative. So like I'm naturally that way, but it's exacerbated knowing that, you know, the person you're with is a little more emotional and a little more you know, vulnerable. So being less vulnerable for the person or whatever situation you're in, like again, real estate, it's a very emotional transaction. People freak out. I have to stay calm.
Yep.
So I think a lot of stuff translates back to the personal life because, like I said, I'm building a lifestyle where it's all intertwined.
Right.
So you're not two people. You're authentically the same person throughout, and that person gets molded by what you do a lot of the time, which is your job.
Yep.
So I don't know. Do you feel like anything in – because you're in a high-ranking position, and you're also someone that people look up to. And you probably have to keep calm in certain situations, right? Like,
oh, yeah. I mean, I get, you know, panic situations all the time. Yeah. But exactly what you're talking about in terms of just being there to listen, you can apply that to anything, whether it is your relationship or your business. Yeah. I find now that I'm able to just be there. And by being there is not just, you know, being present. We spoke about this before. Are you actually present versus being present. Same word, but different meaning. So I've learned how to really be there for people, and it's so funny because as I can only speak because I'm a male, but as males, females, in my experience, they want to just hear you without you overreacting and responding. So that's a sense of vulnerability in itself.
Yeah.
If you really want to go ahead and respond to somebody, hold that for a minute and think about it. And that's a way to just be vulnerable. It's a very easy thing to do, but you'll find yourself like wanting to have diarrhea of the mouth, and you go back and forth versus just listening. And then usually at the end of that conversation, you could disagree. I actually look forward. My wife gets a kick out of this now. I look forward to disagreements because I like to see the progress that I have.
Yeah, that's good.
In terms of my reactions.
Yeah.
Right. And then at work, it's the same thing. Like I try to, and again, we're trying to just be better than yesterday. That's the goal every day. Better than yesterday. And anybody who comes into my office, I try to keep an open space for people. But my first thing that I have to do, or any good boss I believe should do, is to be available to people. And that is just a vulnerability. When you walk around, I already look a certain way, right? So people assume something, but then when they can actually come into my office and have a real conversation, I hear it all the time. It's like, wow, I didn't think that you were going to be able to hear me out and give me the feedback that you did.
It's kind of genius because you're under-promising, over-delivering, because people have a certain thought of you.
It's a good way to put it,
and
right.
it's usually not like oh, that guy reads a lot of books type of thing.
Listen,
that's,
hi, I'm
no
10 page Dave.
Yeah. Like it's you're very smart, you're very authentic, you're very well spoken. It's all things that you see someone, you make the assumptions based on previous things you've been. And no offense to anyone else who's got a great beard and tattoos,
right?
But usually you get this perception, and
Yep.
like not everyone think I'm an amazing dancer because I look very uptight. I wear a suit, but I can move. You know,
that is something that everybody should witness. And I'm gonna go ahead and toot our own horn here. So anybody who's been to a wedding with us knows, but you're really missing out if you haven't been on a dance floor with Mr. Pirelli and myself.
No, the worm. He does the worm incredible.
Listen.
That's another thing. You would never think a man of his stature could be able to do the worm
I actually
effectively.
I did the worm as my entrance into my wedding, if you remember.
Do you remember what happened when you did the worm at my wedding?
Yeah, I ripped the shirt.
Yeah, so he ripped his shirt.
A rented shirt.
A rented shirt. That was like, it looked like we went through a war. Everyone.
And then the worst part was I just tucked it back. I put the suit blazer over it on the hanger and returned it and said thank you very much, and just left.
Yeah, but that worked. So sorry to a Squire. But
what? Oh, you dropped the names, man. They're gonna charge me for that. Why would you do that?
That was a good. That was good branding for them. They're gonna enjoy that.
That's hilarious.
No, so the I think having the ability to hear people and react, and hear them out first, then react, and be authentic with your reaction, but also supportive is a good point. Mm-hmm. Like when we talk and there's something that I don't agree with, yes, I'm not screaming back at you, but I'm authentically saying I don't understand what you're saying.
Yes.
And it all is progress.
Yes.
Like if you're going out and you meet a bunch of people and there's 5 people at the table and one person's talking about cars and you know nothing about cars and you try to play like you love cars, then you get invited to go to a car show with them, you're not going to enjoy yourself.
Right.
And it's not going to work.
That'd be
versus,
go.
I don't know anything about cars. That sounds awesome. I mean, it's cool. It's not my thing. Blah, blah. Another person at the table, I don't know anything about cars either, but I'm into shoes. I love shoes, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. Then you go to a shoe show, you buy shoes, you have a better.
Right.
So it's like you attract the people that you want to hang out with by just being yourself.
Yes.
Like you love Miley Cyrus. That's
Love her.
fine.
Love her.
A couple of our friends love, what's the guy's name? You love Future. It's very
Love
bizarre.
Future.
Yeah.
Love Future.
But I think the more authentic you are, the more you're shaping a life that is something you want to do anyway.
Yep.
Right?
There was something that I want to bring clarity to, too. I told you upstairs how I got ripped apart by some of my family members in terms of the attention. So this was with my wife and my sister-in-law. They apparently had a conversation about like, oh, the episode was really, really good. I loved it. I think, again, going back to the first one, and it was about the attention.
Yeah.
So be clear. I'll look into YouTube, into the camera right here. Dave Regina loves attention. That was not what I was trying to say. When you asked me the question of do I like the failure or the rewards,
Yeah.
Right? And then you referenced the 30 under 30 piece.
Yeah.
And I remember saying, this is going to sound strange to people, and what I meant by that was exactly that those who know me know that I like the attention. But I remember feeling very, very awkward when these cameras were in my face. There was interviews. They actually got me on a podcast to do a radio interview, and I felt very, very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was unique because if you look at Dave Regina, and you made the reference,
the fact that you refer to yourself in third person makes me know you love attention.
And that's not
a bad
fine,
thing, 'cause
right?
I do too.
And that's fine. But
yeah.
I didn't realize that I'd rather do it with somebody versus me making my own show or me being the whole center of attention.
Got it.
That was the piece that I wanted to bring clarity to.
So if this guy EJ offers you a show and they say it's only about you. I mean, obviously Karina can join, but if they're like you are the centerpiece, you would say no.
No, I would definitely say yes. I would learn how to get through that. But all I was saying was that I remember the feeling. It was just a little awkward. Yeah, because I like being in the spotlight.
Yeah,
no doubt.
Well, it's a different type of spotlight,
exactly,
because it's like,
and that was the point.
And it's an accolade spotlight where people are like complimenting you,
and it's like weird.
It's a weird,
it feels weird, and my position, my title is a nice title, and it's one of authority, you can say, but that doesn't mean anything to me.
Yeah,
there's so many. We had our holiday party just a couple weeks ago, and we were referencing. How I go in the back sometimes, and I just have dinner in the maintenance office with the maintenance guys.
Nice.
But that's probably
What's the back.
Like the back room. There's a back room in
there's like tables and stuff?
Well, it's a facility. One of our facilities, there's a maintenance shop.
It sounded like a
No, there's a
club.
maintenance shop.
Back.
No. There's a maintenance shop with all the tools and stuff like that. But I sit back there with the part-timers, the full-timers, the volunteers, and we just chop it up.
Yeah.
Just because somebody's in a position of power or whatever, in anything in life.
I gotta visit your office.
It does
see
not.
What this is all about.
It does not mean that you're better than anybody.
Yeah.
And I've never ever thought that way.
Yeah.
And I never will.
Yeah.
Everybody has the same abilities, the same skills. Some just get different opportunities and they seize those moments.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense, and it's good that you clarified that because I wonder if anyone thought anything I said was not what the problem is too, and I'll admit this. I constantly change in thoughts, and not major things. Like my core beliefs are always usually similar, but my interests and just thoughts on things change constantly.
Yes.
I'm very easily influenced in certain things. Like if you love something and you talk passionately about it, to me, I want to go do it with you.
Yep.
Yeah. Like I was talking about fishing with someone, and I was like, I would love to go fishing. And then I talked to the next person, like, I don't eat fish. Like I can't deal with people fish, but I'm like, me either.
I hate the guts on my hands.
The guts?
Like when you're actually, I need gloves if I'm going to do that. My dad's a huge
your
fishing
dad
guy.
Fishes, yeah.
A huge fishing guy.
Yeah.
But my brother and my dad, they always make fun of me because I don't like that smell on my hands and on my clothes. So my dad always, if ever I'm fishing with him or growing up, he would have to put the fish on, the bait. And then I would do the fishing. But then as soon as there was a fish or anything on it, he's got to handle that.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
you seem like
definitely.
You'd be soft in that aspect.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I was thinking about when you were talking. Do you think there's any specific situations where it's hard for you to be authentic?
Now, no.
Okay.
And I mean that genuinely. Growing up, there was a few scenarios I remember questioning who I was.
Yeah.
And one that I could think back to, funny story, 7th grade, I was never a big fighting guy in terms of being in actual fights. I've been in a couple.
Yeah.
But I got worked out so bad by this dude who was much, much bigger than me at the time.
I didn't go to school with you.
But we were friends. That was the worst part about it. And I remember getting beat up over something that I had. It really didn't even involve me. I forget the situation.
Yeah.
But I'm talking... It was typical, like you would film this as a TV show. This would be on a show. I'm coming back from the lunchroom. I go to say what's up to him. Go to give him a dap. My man grabs me, 2 hands, slams me against the locker, starts punching me in my head. Right, and this is a true story.
How did he hit your head with that little thing?
With that little,
it's probably like
with my little head.
Yeah.
So to those people who think
aim.
that I'm big, I'm really not big. It's just my head is so small.
That's
and
my theory. That's
Mike's theory.
I look at him. I'm like, you're not a movie guy, but in Super Mario Brothers, the Goombas that have
right,
like, the little heads
nope,
and big bodies.
Haven't seen it. Sorry.
Anyway, go ahead.
So I get worked. I get thrown against his locker. Now he starts going to town. I can't really defend myself now because he already, punched me in my head a couple times. My
Was
nose.
he saying anything or was just throwing punches?
No, I didn't. I had no idea. No idea why. And then for some reason, and like everyone's watching this, so the whole school is like, oh, going crazy. And I was always a popular dude. And this is what bugged me out about it. Because one, he was my friend. And two, I was a popular guy. So to see my friend beat me up in front of everybody. But now you're not talking just a regular like, oh, I pushed him and I shoved him against the locker. Like, no, there was blood.
Yeah.
Right? So I remember walking through the hallway and everybody being like, yo, look at that. Yo, Dave Regina just got, yo, look at that.
Yeah.
And having the humiliation of walking all the way to the principal's office, crying hysterically. And my parents had to come pick me up. I stayed home from school for about 3 days, I think it was. But I remember that feeling of like, wow, you thought you were this popular guy and you were always, in this circle with this same group of friends. And then I remember questioning like, wow, what is it that I have to do to be liked? And thank God at that time it was just good timing. I had moved, went to another school, still talk to this dude today.
I was going to say, does he listen?
I don't know if he's listening, but he knows who he is if he is. But I remember that moment being like, wow. At the time, I didn't know that was authentic. But then I had to start questioning myself, which was now me not being authentic.
Okay.
So that was all the way in 7th grade. But then as I grew up, I still remained popular as I moved on. So I never had a problem just being myself, even in high school. I was always myself, goofy, liked to have fun. Really didn't matter if I was around adults or kids our age at the time. Yeah. But I was always a clown, and I was always sarcastic, all that stuff.
Yeah.
I still am like that today in a reserved manner, but I would say today now I'm me. And I'm willing to be as authentic as possible, which I do believe, and we had this conversation before, plays right into the vulnerability piece. Because if you are super, super authentic, then there is that vulnerability piece that kind of just comes with that.
Yeah, because you can't have one without the other.
Right. I mean, you can have certain aspects of it, but I don't think you have such clarity. And I have a lot of clarity on who I want to be.
Well, that's a good point, right? Like something about it, too, is figuring out what you want to be. And you're trying to mold yourself, right? So you want to be something and you're acting authentically to try to be that thing, but you're not that yet.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
So you're being authentic in where you want to get to, but maybe you're not that way yet, but you want to be that way.
Yes.
So that's okay too.
Of course. And as long as you're doing little things and you're realizing the times that you're not being vulnerable, just acknowledging the piece is actual progress.
Yeah.
And that's the goal, right?
Yeah.
Progress. Did you ever get beat up like I did in 7th grade or no?
I'm just trying to think of an example. So I had an older brother. So like everyone knew me as
Frankie.
Frank's brother, which that was my speech for the Best Man speech.
I was at that movie.
Yeah. So
I was there.
He was there. That was a good movie.
That was good.
So no, I didn't really I was always a bigger kid, not huge, but big enough for people to really mess with you. My authentic stuff, the hardest thing is like it's being yourself, but not too much. Does that make sense? So like in the professional world and out with clients or meeting like the in-laws, you don't want to be at 100 yet.
Of course.
Right? Like you want to throw it at like an 80%,
right.
maybe 60. Like show them who you are, but don't overwhelm people.
Right.
I still have a problem where sometimes I overwhelm people because I'm very high energy, very all over the place, want to talk about 1,000 things with people. But in a professional setting, that's not the best course of action.
Right.
If we're doing a deal and we pass a pizza place and I love the pizza place, it's not always a great situation to be like, I know every item menu. This is a fire thing. I know the guy Vinny. It's tremendous, blah, blah, blah. That's a great spot. You definitely should check it out when we're done with the showing and then move to the next thing.
Right.
I don't know if you've realized that, like when I was out with you.
Oh, of course.
Where it's like ratcheted down, but I'm still being
ratcheted down.
authentic. You know what I mean?
I just thought of a tagline for me when I'm Ratchet Reg.
Ratchet Reg.
That's yeah. Wow. No.
Regular
so
Reg.
you're regular Reg. Oh, don't start with the regular Reg, Michael.
Yeah. So we were
Michael. Don't
Dave. Dave likes nicknames.
We're gonna go there. Okay.
So what do you call me? What's my long form name, and then what's my Greek name?
Well, so especially with this push-ups, because I do want to be clear, Mike is a very, very authentic. Oh, damn. And that was a habit that I wanted to get rid of when I was re-listening to these episodes. Was that very, very? Why do I do very, very? Stop. Okay.
Oh.
You're a very authentic dude, just naturally, and I think you're vulnerable too.
Yeah,
but just naturally, you are very authentic. For as many years as I've known you, you've been that same dude. But with this push-up thing, and there's certain situations that you and I go back and forth and we make fun of each other like we do. So Mike calls me regular Reg, and I call him mediocre Mike. Yeah. Right? Just because if I'm going to be regular, then that means that you're just basic too and you're mediocre.
Well, mediocre is not average. Realize that, right? It's less than average. You're calling me. I called you average. You called me less than average. Okay, so then you're less than average,
which made
That's
it even better. So now we're in a group chat with CV and we're going back and forth. And you said another thing. Oh, Dana put you on the spot. She said that your meat was not as good as hers or your steak. So that to me was like, wow, he cooks mediocre meat too.
Dana,
oh my
listen, I don't want an uproar of wives that don't cook to get mad, but it was she's getting better and cooking, and this was a meal she did very well. But she gets
was it skirt steak?
She gets ahead of herself.
It was a skirt steak.
Yeah,
and she said Mike's wasn't that good. So I said, wow, he makes mediocre meat as well.
It's tough. I have to have such thick skin because I got you, who's like a second wife, throwing shade all the time. Dana's tough. It's tough.
And then
brother,
I remember so when I came up with the whole Greek thing, it was
pretty funny.
Well, it was funny, but it was because somebody had referenced Socrates.
Yeah.
And the beard.
Us?
No. In my
Oh, you.
Yes,
yeah,
Socrates in terms of the beard.
You look like a philosopher.
So I said, wow, if you were Greek, you would be Mediocrities.
Which I was writing, I swear to God, I was writing an email, and I looked over, you know how it shows the preview?
Yeah.
And it said, if you were Greek, you would be, and I clicked it open, and it said Mediocrities. And I started laughing hysterically, and I wrote it in an email by accident because it was in my head.
Oh, and then we're being vulnerable, right? So I'll be vulnerable for CV.
Uh-oh.
Then he started with his, I'm just trying to do this. I really just want to put these epis out. Can you do this? So I said, well, if you were Greek, ... sensitivities. Right. So now we need a Greek name.
Yeah, stop.
No, I was being vulnerable for you. Like, I was being vulnerable for you.
I thought my nickname for him was hilarious.
No,
we taught.
What was it?
Let me reference it.
Go ahead.
Because you guys have that. You have that. It's not the same humor. This is good. No, this is good. The CV with the logo, and we talked about this. He drew these like very intricate, beautiful stenciled layers, shaded pictures. Yes. So I wrote Pablo Claudio.
Pablo Claudio. Okay, it was
hilarious.
Not that. No, it was good. I didn't think it was. I thought it was mediocre.
Pablo Claudio.
I thought it was mediocre. You said one. I forget what it was.
And then Dave's big on the so another one.
That
I said,
one was
which
very
is my
good.
favorite. And if you read 10 pages a day, that's fine. But for Dave to brag about it all the time.
Well, go back. No, and not brag. Go back to the episode where I have a habit of reading 10 pages a day. Mike likes to do
so he
on
was
that
killing
habit.
me because of my push-ups, and I basically was shooting back because he was talking about his habits, and I feel like I went into his world to try to compete, and he's going
so
into
good.
I was like, get out of your comfort zone. You know, what do you read, 10 pages a day? Like,
that's hard.
Yeah, like that's difficult. And then I started calling him 10-page Dave, which
I have to start introducing myself.
Pretty funny.
It is. That one is
it's
great.
It's really funny.
See, that is great.
But the thought of you in a sauna trying to get through 10 pages and it taking like 2 hours is such a funny thought.
Doesn't take me.
Like every time someone comes in,
pages.
they look down at him and he's on like page 3, page 4, right?
Bye. Next.
It's like I can't get it, but
maybe that's the name of the epi. Socrates and Mediocrities.
Socrates and Mediocrities. It is funny though because I do think about it now.
Talking to the mic.
It's funny because that was a mediocre move. Well, I think about it now when I'm doing something.
You're like that's mediocre.
Yeah, that's a mediocre email or something.
And I'm very regular, so.
Back to the point of being authentic.
Yeah.
I think.
Complacent Claudio. That's a good one.
Huh?
Complacent Claudio. That's a good one.
But I do think being authentic with other people too, and being honest with them, to be honest.
Got to bring clarity there too. Go ahead.
Yeah, to clarify that one.
Right now?
Yeah.
Okay,
While
so
we're on it.
With the whole to be honest thing.
How many times are you going to have to clarify stuff?
I know.
It's
Well, I
gonna be
have
like
to
full
because
episodes.
I contradict myself, but then I feel like I need to bring
I'm not clarifying anything. I'm authentic.
I need to bring it, full circle to make it clear. When I say that I don't like when I say or I hear to be honest, it's contextual. That's a word, right?
That's sure.
Yeah, okay.
But
it's all in context. And what I mean by that is if you have a problem with somebody, don't preface it by to be honest, because those are fluff words. If you're saying it in regular conversation, that's fine with me. But it's when you say like, oh, I don't mean to offend you, but clearly you're about to offend me. That's the same way I feel about the to be honest. So go ahead, press play.
What was I talking about? I don't know. Anyway, we'll skip that. I'll read it. I'll watch it back. And then
something about.
Well, I got a new thought because you
okay,
made
go
me
ahead.
think of it.
Go ahead.
So with other people, I think I was talking about being authentic with other people.
Oh, good. Good for you.
So
it wasn't mediocre.
I think when you're authentic with other people, and I say I think a lot because I'm not sure if I'm right or not. I'm just thinking this. I think when with other people, if you're authentic with what you're working on or what annoys you or all the things above, you're able to try to solve it. Right? If you lie to yourself and you're like, I don't really care about that, and you really do, you're just going to blow up in the future. Right? Or if you're like, I'm not good at this. If you realize you're not good at something, then you can address it. But if you never realize it and you're never truthful about it with yourself, then how do you address it? Right?
Yes.
Like I came to the realization, which is a funny one, and we were on the phone with Karina because you and her are very good compliments and you're both organized at home.
OCD at times.
You're both, and I'm just talking at home, right? You're both organized at home. You're both good gifters, it seems like. I don't know. Are you?
Good gifters?
Good gifters.
Like giving a gift?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you're organized, so that would translate, right? And you both grocery shop well.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Very efficient, effective, and convenient.
So me and Dana were sitting there, and I'm looking around our house, and I'm like, it looks like a bomb went off in here. Partly my fault, because when I cook, I think I'm Emeril Lagasse. Bam. Do you know that?
No.
Okay. Every reference I throw out, he's not going to know anything. So good it's videotaped so I can connect
Hopefully
with
people understand.
The listeners.
I read 10 pages a day. I read 10 pages a day.
It takes him too long to read to watch me.
My time is taken.
And if you have trouble reading, don't take that the wrong. It's just I'm like making fun of Dave. He probably can't see over his beard when he reads. That's why. So I'm thinking about it, and we're on the phone with her, and like I'm looking around. I'm like, I see the house. I look at our fridge, and there's like nothing, and there's like a baked potato. And then I'm thinking like, oh, we didn't get any gifts for anyone yet, and it's like 3 days before Christmas. So I'm like, there's two of us, but we're realistic about it, and we're like, we aren't good at shopping for ourselves, keeping this house clean, or being whatever the third one was. So like the fact that we know it, we're trying to get a solution, and like we did a meal prep service, which ultimately didn't work out, and we keep trying things to try to address it, but it's difficult. But if you don't know the problem's there, you can't address it. So it's just being like truthful with what you're bad at. And it's okay to be bad at stuff.
Yeah, of course. You know? But that makes a lot of sense, especially when you break it down like that. Like if you're trying to find the solution, that's progress right there.
Yeah,
and
like
you
if
guys
you're a
discussing
step farther.
What it is. Yeah,
like I know we talked about. We were recording late at night, and we all were like, "This, this authentically sucks.
Yes,
we're too late.
Yes.
We have no energy, and now we're recording when we can early.
Yep.
So
and it works a lot better because we actually are in tune with the thoughts, and we know where we want to go. You know, the outline is great. We know our talking points, but now we're fresh. We haven't had a whole day to kind of be at work and do whatever we're doing throughout the day to then come and record until 11:30 at night. Yeah. So this is good. Yeah. I like that piece, man. Can we go to I just want to reference the reviews. So the reviews on you're giving me the eyes.
Reviews on
Apple. They were really good though. No, they were really good.
Being authentic, my eyes, I'm not excited or surprised. That's how my eyebrows are. I'm just always looking excited.
I'm always excited.
Like the guy in We're the Millers. Never seen it?
I've never seen it. I'm not a movie guy.
Right? He gets it.
I'm not a movie
Thank God Claudio watches
I am
movie.
not
with
a movie guy.
His eyebrows are... Anyway, go ahead.
So I remember reading the review. It's gone now because I think they only show the top 6 or something.
Yeah.
And I was super excited because I read the review and it was like, wow, I feel like I know these guys. It was a really good podcast. Can't wait to see where this goes. And I look up and the name is Mike Pirelli.
Dude, I really
Thank
feel
you
like I
for
know
dropping the
guys.
review. And then it gets even better in terms of the review. Claudio, we're talking. And he reads like, "Yo, have you seen this one?" Because there were people that dropped some knowledge on the reviews, which were awesome.
Yeah.
And then he looks up and he's like, "But who's this person, Man?" I'm like, "Dude, that's Monday." Because it tells you the name, tells you the day it was left, which was MON, Monday, and then under it, he was like, "Oh, I think it was World Podcasting or something." Somebody left a review. He thought it was Man.
We're taking
Monday,
out the visual
dude.
out of audio visual for you.
It was hilarious. So there were people that dropped questions. I had put something on Instagram, and there were only a few questions that
I
came
didn't
in.
even see it. How did I miss this?
I put it up as a thing, like,
A story?
you know, we're gonna record another epi. What do you want?
Was it
You
a
know.
post or story?
It was a story, I think.
Okay,
but there's a
missed
lot
it.
of stories that
I got banned from
That go on.
Instagram for a week. I was following too many people.
on your personal page.
Sorry about that. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Well, effort, you know.
Did they
Go
put you?
ahead.
They put you back on?
I can't. I comment and it says you are banned
Still?
until the 20th. Today's the 20th. Still doesn't
They
work.
better
so
remove
hopefully,
that.
But anyway,
They
go
better
ahead.
remove that ban. So there was a couple
What are we
questions.
What are we calling these questions?
Yeah, we need a name for the questions, and an intro too.
Questies.
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 Oh, that's good.
Qs.
Questies for the epis.
BBQs. NSQs.
What is the BB?
No
and
snooze questions. All right, we're working on that one.
mediocre again. All right.
Yeah.
So
Questies
why
is
do
really funny.
people tag you when they're at the gym?
Social media. Read a book. All right. Next one. Just kidding.
No, really. So answer that question. Why do people tag you when they are at the gym?
No, so people tag, I believe, because they want to be a part of the community.
Yep.
Is
Which
what we
is
want.
what we want.
It's what we want.
Well, yes, we're trying to build a community of people just getting after it.
I
So
think
the gym
they
is
wa-
something that's easy, right?
Yeah, and they want to
To
see
see.
that. Specifically, yeah, the gyms. A lot of people go to the gym early,
Yep.
so that's always a plus. We challenge people to tag us in just things that are cool, like
Yep.
if you're shooting a TV show or you're doing something out of your comfort zone, just tag us.
Right.
Like
It's about not snoozing on life in
you
general.
order 100 wings, tag me.
Right.
Actually, no snooze. You
Don't
live once.
snooze on that.
Yeah, so tag us in other things. We just enjoy the gym. It's the first thing we do in the morning, so we naturally do it. We're going to try to tag more lifestyle stuff.
Yep.
So thank you for that.
Good.
And I was just kidding about reading a book. You're perfect.
This one says, Dave, where are you from?
Mars.
Yeah, okay, that was good. Mediocrities had a good one there. That was
Mediocrities.
good, Mars. So it's kind of weird.
I love that question. Where are you from?
Yeah.
Not what town did you grow up in?
Where are you
from? What species are you?
Neanderthal.
Yeah.
So I grew up in Mount Vernon, New York, lived there for the first 15 years of my life, and then I moved up to Connecticut, where then
You grew out.
then I grew out. My shoulders grew wider when I got to Connecticut.
Connecticut.
Went to high school up there, bounced around a little bit. So I kind of struggle with that because I'm 30 now, and it's literally been half my life. But now I'm back in New
Where do
York.
you, like when someone says where are you from in conversation,
It
what do you say?
depends
You
who I'm
explain this?
talking to. Well,
Oh,
for the
so you change it
Well, because the first 15 years of my life, if I'm talking to a kid
now. Like
What?
if someone asks where are you from?
right now, I say where I live currently.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's good.
That's what I do now. But before, if it's in friendly conversation, it's literally like, yeah, well, I grew up in Mount Vernon, New York for the first half of my life.
Yeah.
And then I was in Connecticut for a couple years. Then at 19, my wife and I got our first apartment back in New York.
Okay.
And then we went back to Stanford.
You're a Rolling Stone.
Yeah, then we went back to Stanford. Then we came back to Yonkers. And now we're back in Yorktown.
Okay.
Right?
So,
I hope I answered the question.
Yeah. Well, thank you for answering about me too. Whoever submitted that. So I'm from.
Well, no, there is a
Wait. Let me explain
ahead.
this
Go
because
ahead,
this
go
is
ahead.
kind of funny in the context of this.
good.
This is hilarious. So Dana gets mad at me because I do this, but people ask me where are you from when I'm out of town, and I say Portchester just because then I don't have to talk about Greenwich.
About Greenwich?
Yeah.
That's
So
good.
like in college, they'd be
Yep.
like, "Where are you from?" And I'd be like, "I'm from Portchester."
Pocho.
Yeah, because I was like, oh, I play basketball there. I'm basically from it. And it's not that I'm not proud of the town. It's just you avoid all the conversation you just had.
Yep.
and I just don't want to deal with it.
Yes.
So.
And if they follow you, they kind of know that now you're...
Well, now they know.
I mean,
but like back in the day where I wasn't selling the town, I would not say I was from there just to avoid the whole, you have a yacht? And I'm like, no, I do not.
Right,
I have
you live in Greenwich?
Yeah, I walk by them.
Right.
Yeah,
you have Maseratis in the backyard?
No Mozzies.
No Mozzie? Mozzie Mike, though.
Just a GMC.
Mozzie Mike.
Mozzie Mike's nice, but I'm not a Mozzie guy.
Here's one for you, though, and this is the last one on
not
questions.
Not a car guy.
It says, Mike, if I have a full-time job but want to get into real estate, do you think that's sustainable and can be done?
I think that's a good question. I actually get this a lot from friends. I think it depends what you want to do in real estate. Real estate's so broad that you could be successful in some form in real estate. I think you need to be full-time to be like a premier, like a full-time agent. Like if that is what you want to do and you want to be an agent, you could start out part-time, but I feel like it's hard to get the ball rolling.
That's good. So you think that you can go part-time, that's kind of like a Gary Vee thing.
It's like reading 10 pages a day. Like you're not going to get to the book for a while.
Well, in 1 month, man. So if you want to look at the bigger picture though, and you just want to get your feet wet, you could definitely do it part-time is what you're saying. And then if it does pop for you and you want to leave your other job, then I guess you could do it that way.
I think a lot of it's circumstance, right? Like if you're working part-time for a very successful broker, yes, you could do it. If you do nights and weekends, you absolutely could sell a ton of real estate.
Okay.
It's just going to be hard at some point if you are doing well there's certain things in a deal that you need to be present. And if you can't get out of your job, depending on what you do, you work from home, you can get to stuff.
Right.
You can balance. So it's tough question to answer straightforward, but yes, you could do it. I would encourage people to test it at first. I'm the type who jumps full in on things and probably wasn't the smart way to do it, but I did it. And
I mean, you kind of left no room for error, which is big. Like you knew you had to survive.
There's the term like burning the boats. They basically burned the boats because I was like, well, I just quit my job, so there's no plan B. I mean, there's always a plan B. Like you can figure it out.
Yeah, but I think that shock is good almost. Like you basically create a want versus need situation.
Yes. Yeah, you create the hunger. But something that I do want to acknowledge is that I got into it to invest, and I love selling, but ultimately it was to invest in property also. If you are just doing it to invest in property, having a job will make it much easier to find that first property because it's much easier to get a mortgage. Okay. So that's something I didn't realize.
Yep.
Because if you're making, I don't know, anything, a consistent income, you're going to be able to buy that first property a lot quicker. And I think you could do that while working a job and having consistent income. I think it's actually better than being an agent and trying to invest at the same time.
Are you cool with people reaching out to you directly?
If you have any questions and stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
This is a less busy time of year. I'm always busy, but this is a year where I'm having trouble on my comments because I got banned. But I'll get back to you and just like random, reach out.
Yeah. No, there's been
and again, I'm not an expert. But I'll just tell you what I think.
Right, of course. But I think you're relatable to people.
Yeah.
I'm
still figuring it out every day.
Exactly, which is what we want. And I think people like that. Yeah, that's great.
Who was that? Do we know? I'll reach out to them.
Yeah, I have the name and the number, but I didn't know if we wanted to
No, we don't have to say it on here.
Start dropping people like that.
Maybe we'll say something where if you submit and you want your name said.
Yeah, then just put it in. Yeah. So we're going to do that from week to week. We'll just put a couple questions, 2-3 questions in.
That's good.
And hopefully as we grow, it's not that we're saying we have so many listens and so many followers, but there are
too many questions to field. I can't wait till we get the good questions where it's like
right. Wait, so you're saying those questions were bad to those people?
No, like the random questions.
Yes. Oh yeah, like the weird ones.
Yeah, I like those.
You like those? Yeah. Speaking of weird,
authentically, I like them.
I like being in weird situations. You know that.
Yeah, like cringy situations, he thrives in. Yes. And I'm like, I want to get under the table and hide.
Should we give a story? No.
Yeah, you can talk about it. Don't reference the place though, because I like the place. I would like to go back.
Okay, so Mike and I and our wives and Janine was with us, right?
Yeah, and
Gio. Yeah, well, Gio met us for dinner. So we go to Soul Cycle. That was the whole Soul Cycle experience, which I think we put a clippy up.
Yeah.
But we didn't do a full epi on it. So we had a great experience. Mike and I were dying in Soul Cycle. It was
Soul Michael.
Look at you. It was the funniest thing to see, though, because there's this humongous mirror. And Mike and you explained it the best, though. What was the?
It was just pistons,
like a piston, right?
Yeah, like
right.
Everyone was going down,
and we're
it was
up,
like ground
down.
house.
Yes, it was very.
I can't reference a movie because you haven't seen any.
Right.
So
that's true. So then we go out to dinner to like a real nice place, and it was supposed to be for like happy hour, but
It's a high-end place. It's a seafood place.
Right.
It's like people who come dress up.
Yes,
and
real deal.
Number one, I didn't want to go right from it because you don't smell when you sweat, which is weird.
It's weird. I know.
From Mars.
Yeah,
and
Mars. I'm a Martian.
I stunk. Like, smelled awful. And you guys, let's go. It's going to be great. And we went. We walk in. Everyone's, like, got their ones on. Like, they look good. Like, it's the spot to be that night.
And we're
like,
literally
we messed up someone's date.
And we're dripping sweat.
Someone on a date was like, I thought you were taking me to a nice place. And we walked in.
And we just ruined it for everybody.
Like
so we sit down. I love that voice. You do. So we sit down at a table and, we order drinks and apps. And we... what do they call? They were raw oysters.
No, I mean, yes.
Oysters. Oysters come raw.
Oysters
anyway.
Good to specify.
So I don't really like the whole fish thing, but I tried it. Mike dressed one up for me, and
nice.
it was pretty good. But then it got down to like the end of the barrel, and Mike sees.
So there was like 2 oysters left, maybe one, and one of the things I hate being authentic. I hate when there's food left on plates.
Yep.
And it's like I was hungry, but I was trying to be polite. And the waiter grabs it before I do.
Oh.
So I kind of like sneakily reached over and grabbed it. And like without trying to cause too much attention, I put it to my mouth. And I looked down just to like savor the moment. And I see the legs moving. And I was like, oh my God.
In the mic, talking to the mic.
I go, oh my God. And there was these little legs. And they were like going like this. And I'm like, what is that? So I think what did I give it to you?
Yeah, you go, Dave.
I'm like, look at this.
And the girls are freaking out.
Girls are going
Gio's
nuts.
like, what is that?
Gio,
and it was a little crab.
Yeah, it was a baby crab, like a
and they're
translucent.
Are they
couldn't miss
called
it.
pea crabs?
Yeah.
I think they are. I think they're called pea crabs, as we later found out.
Yeah.
So I take that, and we're going back to the whole uncomfortable situations, right, and the weird situations.
I don't know if this is a good...
No, so I take that crab and I go, Mike, watch this. And he goes, oh, no. My wife goes,
because I knew what you were going to do.
Oh, no.
I've seen it.
Here we go. So I literally put this crab in my mouth, and I acted like I was,
Did you chew it first?
No. But it was still a live crab. Be clear here. This was a live crab.
Yeah.
I called a waiter over. So I just put it like on my tongue because it was very, very small. I called a waiter over, and I'm like, sir, come on over. And he comes over and he puts his hand out, and I literally spit the crab into my hand, which was next to his hand, so he can see this moving crab, which, mind you, I didn't really find it. Mike found it, but I just thought it would be funny to take this crab and put it on my tongue. And when he comes over, I take it out, and he started freaking out.
He the first guy.
Yes,
the
he
first
was
guy.
freaking out.
The waiter.
Yes,
the waiter.
the waiter. And he said, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry about this.
He was a nice guy.
This is crazy. I've never seen this. Let me make this right. Let me call the boss over."
Yeah.
Boss comes over, and my man is like,
smooth.
Well, at least we know you're not allergic to crabs.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a good line.
So then he made me feel uncomfortable, like awkward, like, "Oh, all right, good response." I was expecting like this whole 4-course meal to come over to us now, and the bill be chopped in half or whatever.
Well, what you didn't realize too is we were in gym clothes. Like if we actually looked important,
no credibility.
We had no. Yeah, that's a situation where we wear a suit, and then you could maybe pull that off.
So that's one of those weird. And he did end up like apologizing, but he was like, "Look, that means that it's really fresh, and they're called pea crabs."
Which I thought he was BSing.
Yeah, no, I thought he BS'd it too, because I want to know. I want to know if anybody out there is eating oysters and they're finding crabs in their oysters. But the uncomfortable piece of it that I like was to call the waiter over and have him be mortified that there was a crab. But then he made me mortified when he called his boss over, and the boss was just like, "Yeah, bro."
He knew his product.
Right.
He knew exactly what was
So that's just a quick backstory. So this we'll wrap up here, and we'll go into Dave's Dime of the Week.
And I want to give you a little movie magic. So
God, here we go.
We have had to reshoot Mike's mantras after Dave's Dimes a couple of times.
Yeah, like 3. Can we
so
not do that?
I have a off screen. I have a Post-it note, so I'm ready to rock.
There
go
you
ahead.
Go. All right. So the Dime of the Week: vulnerability is not winning or losing. It's having the courage to show up and be seen when we have no control over the outcome.
Who said that, Dave Regina?
I don't know.
He's just quoting himself for Dave's Dimes. I like it though. All right, guys, hold on one second. Mike's mantras: authenticity requires a certain measure of vulnerability, transparency, like the crab, and integrity. Janet Lewis Stevenson.
Janny.
All
right.
A.K. Janny. Little segment. We're doing the heat on the feet. Hold on, I got to lean because I'm popping buttons. Are these...
Oh, my God. Oh, my goodness. Those
Kicking a
have
soccer ball. I can't kick a soccer ball. Look at this flexibility.
those,
So I do yoga.
those have balls
I
on
don't
them.
have laces. I got no shoes on. Oh, this way. Dude, I don't
Oh,
have
but
the
you can't
flexibility.
even show the balls that are hanging on the other side.
Oh, yeah, I can. Look at that. Heat on the feet.
I
These are
like
tough.
that.
Too much? They might be too much.
No, it's fire.
These are so authenticity. These are socks that you might lose a client over. Like someone might see these and be like, "I'm good."
Yeah, this guy's a little shaky. Have you seen his socks?
Look at this.
No,
Got a
those
little glitter
Those
in
are
there.
fire.
Fire.
All right,
Authentic.
guys. Until next time, stop snoozing.
Get up and get after it.
Another one in the books.
That's gonna be a good clip right there. That's another Effie in the books. Go follow us on Instagram and Facebook at No Snooze Podcast. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, No Snooze.